Hello everyone. In the previous sessions, we have discussed about the public sector enterprises, types of public sector enterprises such as departmental undertakings, public corporation and statutory corporations, and government companies. And we know that the public sector enterprises plays an important role in the economic development of the country. So, in this session, we'll be continuing with the next topic, which is changing role of a public sector. So, as we know, public sector has been playing an important role in the economic development of the country. And despite the impressive role, public sector enterprise in India suffers from several problems. And these problems are poor project planning, excessive overheads, overstaffing, underutilization of capacity, inefficiency, etc. So, to overcome these problems and to bring improvement in the efficiency level of the public sector, there are some steps which are taken by the government. Although the performance of the public sector enterprise is not up to the mark, but the government can also not ignore the development of public sector enterprise. Why? Because these enterprise help to overcome the social problems of poverty, unemployment, imbalance in regional growth, etc. So the government has taken various steps to change the public sector so that its efficiency can increase. So government policy towards the public sector since 1991, Government of India has introduced four major reforms in public sector in its new economic policy of 1991. And these are: first is restructure and revive potentially viable PSUs. PSUs means public sector units, which means those public sector units which have the potential to revive, these are to be restructured. Second is close down the PSUs which cannot be revived, which means all those PSUs which do not have the potential to revive or restructure, such PSUs should be shut down. Third is bring down the government equality in all the non-strategic PSUs to 26% or lower if necessary. And the last is fully protect the interest of workers. So these are the four elements, or we can say these are the four major reforms in public sectors which was introduced by Government of India. So the government has taken various steps to achieve all the four elements we have discussed above. And the first step is reduction in the number of industry reserved for public sector from 17 to 8 and then to 3. So in industrial policy of 1956, there were 17 industries reserved exclusively for public sector. And in 1991, industrial policy, the number was reduced to 8, and in 2001, it was brought down to 3, which means in 1956, 17 industries were reserved for public sector. Then in 1991, only 8 industries were reserved, and after 2001, 3 industries were reserved for public sector. Now, these industries are atomic energy, arms, and rail transport. This means after 2001, the private sector could enter all the areas except these three. So the government realized that if they allow private sector in most of the sectors, it will encourage the public sector to perform better when they will have to compete with the private sector. Now, the second step was disinvestment of shares of a select set of public sector enterprise. So, disinvestment means disinvestment is the sale of equity shares of public sector units to private sector and public. So, the government decided to withdraw its holdings from the PSUs and encourage more participation of private sector in managing the public sector units. सो गवर्नमेंट ने क्या डिसाइड किया कि वो अपनी सारी होल्डिंग्स जो पीएसयूज में है उसको विड्रॉ करेगी और प्राइवेट सेक्टर्स को एनकरेज करेगी कि वो इन पब्लिक सेक्टर्स में पार्टिसिपेट करे सो दैट द पब्लिक सेक्टर कुड इंक्रीज इट्स मैनेजमेंट एफिशिएंसी. It can also be called privatization. So the primary objectives of privatizations are, so the first objective is releasing the large amount of public funds blocked in these units and utilizing them for other social priority projects such as education, health, etc. Which means पब्लिक का जितना भी फंड पब्लिक सेक्टर यूनिट्स में जो ब्लॉक हुआ है उसको रिलीज करना और उसको कहाँ यूटिलाइज करना है सोशल प्रायोरिटी प्रोजेक्ट्स जैसे कि एजुकेशन में या हेल्थ में. सेकेंड इज reducing debt and interested burden. Third is transferring the risk from public sector to private sector. Fourth is reducing government control. And fifth is discouraging government monopoly, example, telecom industries. So these were the primary objectives of privatization, where the government disinvests their shares and they transfer all the shares to the private sector. Now the third step is policy regarding SIC units to be the same as that for the private sector. So all the loss-making public sector enterprise were handed over to BFIR. BFIR is Board of Industrial and Financial Reconstruction, which means all the public sector enterprise who are bearing loss, they are handed over to BFIR. So ये जो बोर्ड है BFIR, ये क्या करती हैं, जितनी भी सिक यूनिट्स होती हैं उनको वाइंड अप करती हैं और इनको रिवाइव करती हैं दूसरे सिक यूनिट्स के साथ जहां पे there is a scope to convert them into healthy units. So there was lot of opposition shown by the workers and the employees of units which were decided to be closed down. So the government of India set up National Renewal Fund to rehabilitate and compensate the workers and offer them various voluntary retirement schemes. So there are many enterprises which are sick and the government is not in a position to feed them anymore. So that is why government has to take harsh step to close these units after providing safety to the workers. Now the last step is Memorandum of Understanding, or we can say MOU. So under Memorandum of Understanding, the public sector is given greater autonomy, which means they are given the targets, and to achieve these targets, these units are granted operational freedom, but they are accountable for not achieving the results on time. So through Memorandum of Understanding, the unnecessary interference of ministers can be reduced and more autonomy is granted to these units, but they are held accountable for specific results. Moving on to the next topic, which is multinational companies or global enterprises. So multinational consists of two different words, multi and national. Multi means many and national means countries or nations. So multinational means a company which operates in many countries. Multinational company वो companies होती हैं जो एक से ज़्यादा countries में operate करती हो. Such a company has branches, factories, workshops in different countries. A multinational corporation is also known as transnational corporation, global enterprises, or international enterprise. The headquarters of multinational companies are located in one country, which is known as home country, and it carries business in other countries, which is known as host countries. So multinational companies basically get incorporated in home countries. For example, Coca-Cola, Hyundai, Nike, Reebok, Samsung, Sony, etc. These are the examples of some multinational companies. Now here are some features and characteristics of multinational companies. So the first feature is giant size. As the assets and the sales of multinational companies are quite large, so these companies operate on large scale. Their operations are so huge that sometimes their sale turnover exceeds the gross national product of a developing country. मल्टीनेशनल कंपनीज एक से ज़्यादा कंट्रीज में ऑपरेट करती है, तो इनका ऑपरेशन इतना ह्यूज होता है कि कभी कभी उनकी जो सेल्स का टर्नओवर है वो एक्सीड कर जाता है gross national product of developing countries. For example, physical assets of IBM, which is International Business Machines, has exceeded $8 billion. Second feature is international operations. So, as we know, multinational corporation operates in more than one country. So, it has its branches, factories, offices in several countries. It also operates through a network of branches and subsidiaries in host countries. Third feature is advanced technology. As multinational companies employs professional experts, specialized people, and it keeps updating the knowledge and skill of their employees by imparting them training from time to time. So basically, multinational company employs professionals to handle the advance in technology. Fourth feature is centralized control. The branches of multinational companies are spread in different countries and they are controlled and managed from the headquarters located in home countries. मल्टीनेशनल कंपनीज के बहुत सारे ब्रांचेस होते हैं डिफरेंट कंट्रीज में, लेकिन उनको कंट्रोल और मैनेज करती है हेडक्वार्टर्स जो होती हैं होम कंट्री में लोकेटेड. So all the branches operate within the policy framework formed by the headquarters. Next feature is product innovation. So, multinational companies are characterized by having highly sophisticated research and development departments engaged in the task of developing new products and superior designs of existing products. So, जो मल्टीनेशनल कंपनीज होती हैं इनकी जो रिसर्च होती है वो हाईली सोफेस्टिकेटेड होती हैं और इनमें कई डेवलपमेंट डिपार्टमेंट्स भी होते हैं जो कि क्या करते हैं, नए प्रोडक्ट्स को डेवलप करते हैं या किसी एग्जिस्टिंग प्रोडक्ट में सुपीरियर डिजाइंस करते हैं. So the qualitative research requires huge investment which only multinational companies can afford. And the last feature is international market. So due to its vast resources and excellent marketing skill, a multinational company has access to international market. So it is able to sell its product or services in different countries. मल्टीनेशनल कंपनीज की एक्सीलेंट मार्केटिंग स्किल्स की वजह से उनको इंटरनेशनल मार्केट में जगह मिलती है और वो अपने सारे प्रोडक्ट्स और सर्विसेज डिफरेंट कंट्रीज में सेल करते हैं. So there are some safeguards also which must be taken to ensure the effective role of multinational companies in host countries like India. For example, multinational companies should be allowed to enter in high-tech industries only, for example, telecommunication. MNCs must bring direct foreign investment so that there is improvement in balance of payment. And MNCs should not be allowed to kill small domestic enterprise, but they must offer healthy competition to domestic firms. Now, here are some questions based on the topic discussed above. First question is, name the companies having business operations in more than one country. Second question is, name the 3 industries which are reserved exclusively for public sector since 2001. Third question is, state 3 features of multinational companies. And the last question is, describe briefly the changing role of public sector. So we have covered 2 topics in this session, that is changing role of public sector in India and multinational companies. In the next session, we'll continue with some other topic. That's all for today. Thank you.